All right, y'all. Welcome back to the podcast. And yes, the story continues. If you guys thought last week's episode was shocking, this story I'm going to tell you today is another wild one that I can add to the arsenal of stories with this shoulder. But before we get to all of that, I am out. It is early morning. It is 4th of July weekend. So when this episode comes out, it will actually be 4th of July. So happy 4th of July, everybody. And I want to go right into you all. Yes, you all of your comments last week after listening to last week's episode. I truly appreciate all of your support. And some of y'all maybe left a comment before listening to the full episode and then re-commented again after you actually heard the full story of my shoulder dislocating up on the Appalachian Trail in Maine. And I truly, truly, truly appreciate all of your support, all of your kind words. It means so much to me. It actually fuels me to keep going with the podcast and keep sharing the story. And that is what we're going to start with this morning. So thank you again. Out for a nice little hike this morning in Charlotte, North Carolina, and actually all across the country. We are in this heat dome situation. So I am out early before 7 a.m. getting some miles in on my legs. And a lot of people are out this morning. And I love it. People are out doing their thing. So this week I've got another story for you about my shoulder and some developments. I wanted to thank all of you listeners, and I already did that. And I wanted to tell you a story about my rainfly, and then I will get into what actually happened this past week. So thanks again, all the listeners. As you all know, if you listened to last week's episode, the hiking guide that was with me, her name is Deborah, when my shoulder dislocated on the AT. If you haven't listened to that episode, you're not going to have a clue what I'm talking about. So you're going to have to go back and listen to last week's episode, and that'll catch you up to this week. Part of what we had to do on the trail is she got in my pack and got out my rainfly. I just bought a new MSR Hubba 1 tent, a one-person freestanding tent, and we used the rainfly to kind of make a sling around my shoulder. And then when I got to the hospital, they had to cut it off because it was just, Deborah did such a good job of tying that thing on there. One of the things I did this past week, I reached out to Cascade Designs to see if I could just buy a rainfly. And they have this whole ordering process, pretty easy actually. And I just basically reordered a new rainfly. And the customer service team got back to me and said, hey, listen, your tent is under a 3-year warranty. Send us the original receipt, some pictures of what's going on with your rainfly, and, we'll send you one. And I was like, oh, well, this opens the door. So I basically emailed them back, told them the story, sent them pictures of me in the rainfly, sent pictures of the nurse cutting off the rainfly. And they got back to me and said, listen, this is certainly outside of the warranty situation for the tent or the rainfly or any of the parts. But because the rainfly served such a great purpose, we are going to send you a new one for free. So that is awesome. I am getting the rainfly replaced. Cascade Designs actually owns MSR. So thank you, Cascade Designs. And I truly do love the MSR tent. So that rainfly replacement is on the way. So that is a positive story of the week. Now, another story of the week is my shoulder. And yes, it did dislocate again while I was actually at physical therapy. I know, hard to believe. So I believe last week I told you all that I was going to start physical therapy and I was going to be, oh my gosh, y'all, the birds. Hopefully you can hear them in the background. Such a great sound in the morning. I love it. Anyway, getting back to the story, I think I left off where I told you all I was going to be going to physical therapy and then was going to try to plan out, maybe some different hiking on some very less aggressive trail. And that was actually kind of the plan. So Matt, my physical therapist, shout out Matt, gave me some exercises and I had been working on those. It actually, 1 week after the first dislocation, it dislocated again. So actually it was a week ago this past Friday. Anyway, my dates are getting all jumbled up. Regardless, I went to a physical therapy appointment with Matt and warmed up and did all the things. And when I tell you the exercises he has me doing, they're not aggressive at all. It's just like rebuilding, the strength in the shoulder and starting literally at ground zero. So when I say exercises, it's not lifting weights. It's not, moving kettlebells, nothing like that. Very, very, very light exercises to rebuild the strength in the shoulder. So about halfway through the therapy appointment, Matt was like, all right, go over here, lay on the table, do this exercise and this exercise. And, just kind of do them light and gradual. And I did the first set. And y'all, I'm laying like face down on a table. It's nothing aggressive. Oh, table tees, that's what they're called. So I started with table Ys and then table tees, very light. And y'all, I got to about the fourth or fifth number of table tees on the first set and my shoulder popped out. And I was like, oh my God, my shoulder's out again. So I stand up off of the table and I go over to Matt and he looks at me and he's like, is your shoulder out? I said, yes. And very quietly, nonchalantly, Matt walks me back over to the table and has me lay down, raises my arm up in a certain position, and boom, my shoulder goes right back in. And I said, it's in. And he goes, yeah, I felt it. And that started a whole other series of things that have been happening this past week. I think Matt and I were both surprised at first, but not very surprised because y'all, at the end of the day, my shoulder, my strength is there, but the stability is no longer there. And when it hits that certain point, I think no matter what I do at this point, it's going to pop out. So Matt immediately starts texting the doctor, Dr. Robert Morgan, who is out of Ortho, Carolina, based in Concord, North Carolina. And he says, listen, I'm going to send Dr. Morgan a message. You definitely need to get an MRI now. And we need to see what's going on. And kind of went from there. So it's not really shocking to me. I mean, it's shocking when it comes out because it's immediate pain. And I know the feeling now, like when it's out and where the actual shoulder bone goes when it pops out. And it's not something you want to experience. So now that we know 100% my shoulder is, pretty much Matt's like, it's just not stable. Your muscles are good. Your strength is good. You don't have any stability in that shoulder. When it hits that certain point, it's just going to pop out. So by that evening, this is how awesome the doctor is. I had an order in my chart. I had been approved by my insurance for an MRI arthrogram. And this past Monday, they got in touch with me and we got everything scheduled. And I just can't, at this point, go have an MRI anywhere because I've had surgery on this shoulder before. And there are anchors and things in my shoulder already. I have to go down to the orthopedic hospital in downtown Charlotte. If you've had surgery before, you can only go there and get your MRI. And Matt says it's because they got to put your arm in certain positions. They got to get the dye and the ink in there. So looking forward to that, but not looking forward to that. And then once I get those results, they'll have a really good picture of what is going on in my shoulder and be able to provide me with a really good plan, more than likely surgery and all the things that come with that. And there's nothing I can do about it. Ever since my shoulder came out the first time in 2014, having the surgery in 2015, and then it came out again in 2022. And my shoulder, now that you can always look back on things, folks, and you all know this, when my shoulder came out in 2022, my shoulder and arm kind of went on the back burner because of all the issues that I was having with my right foot and getting that situated and going through that whole situation and those surgeries. And if you're new to the podcast and you don't know anything about what I'm talking about, you can go back to, I recorded 10 episodes, Jester's Redemption Section Hike, where I go over all the story of everything that was going on with my foot. Anyway, regardless of that situation, my feet are fantastic. I won't even go there. But my shoulder, I just kind of went on the back burner with it. It didn't bother me. It's never bothered me as far as like pain or stiffness or any of that. On the back burner. And I guess this year on the trail, my shoulder was like, nope, we're not doing this anymore. And then even the PT exercises, nope, we're not doing those particular exercises anymore. It really, what all this has done is given my team of people, physical therapy, Matt, my doctor, really good information about what's happening. And I'm okay with that. So here we are again, folks. We are now up to a 5th dislocation, but we are moving forward. The MRI arthrogram is scheduled. I am currently still in PT with Matt, and you will see by today's picture that I put up for the episode, I am getting needles. I am getting cupping, just trying to get those muscles to relax. Because y'all, when your shoulder comes out, everything is just totally tense and muscle spasms. And we're just trying to get those things relaxed and doing very, very, very light exercises with my shoulder. I would just say getting blood moving through there and, just keeping everything somewhat moving at this point. And I'm not the expert. I need to have Matt back on the podcast. Maybe I'll record an episode with Matt this week and put it out next week so he can kind of fill you guys in on exactly what's happening and what's going on in the plan and what we're doing, because I don't know all the medical things and I don't want to say anything wrong. So maybe I will plan on that for next week if Matt is up to it. Anyway, that's kind of where we are this summer. You cannot predict anything, but I will say I am totally fine with everything. I don't know if I've matured over the years when it comes to disappointment and not letting things bother me, but I'm just on a different path now. The ultimate goal of finishing the AT for a second time, it is still there. It is not going anywhere. The only thing I know to do is progress forward, have a new plan, get back nutritionally on my diet, which is what I've been doing. I have not stopped doing any of that stuff. I'm still on my weight loss journey and all the things that go with that. And I don't even call it a weight loss journey anymore. It's just pretty much how I live and what I do. And I know when I tighten my diet up, I feel better and I'm moving better. And I am cautiously walking every morning. I certainly do not want to fall and cause any other issues. So I am going on some pretty easy trails out in the park. And then I'm still doing some lower body things, nothing crazy. But I do want to keep myself in as top condition as I can, because more than likely, y'all, I am going straight into surgery. As soon as I have that MRI and the doctor figures out a plan and what needs to be done, there is no waiting on the surgery. I need to have that this summer before I go back to work, because I already know some things are changing and what's coming up for the next school year. And I don't want to be worried about this shoulder. I want to have it done and already in recovery. So that is where we are. I am hiking every day on some light trails. I am continuing to do some lower body work, nice and easy stuff. I am continuing to count calories and make sure I am nutritionally sound, because y'all, I just know it. A surgery is upcoming and I want to be in really good shape before I get into that surgery. And that is where I'm going to kind of leave things for this week. Maybe I can convince Matt to do some questions while I'm at physical therapy, and he can kind of fill you in on where we are and what's happening while we're leading up to this next phase once we get the MRI arthrogram results, and kind of go from there. And I do want to give a huge shout out to my trainer, Sierra. When she heard that this happened, I got a message from her. She was like, what the what? Because y'all, I was like killing it in the gym. I had done a record on my trap bar deadlift. And y'all, I was moving and grooving. And the shoulder was not an issue. So it is a surprise for everybody. So y'all, Sierra got me in shape. And I'm going to talk about this on a future episode as well, where all my training and everything I did in the spring, I 100% truly believe that is what got me off the trail. I mean, imagine hiking 3 miles down a very aggressive trail with water crossings with your shoulder out, and then continuing on with the madness at the hospital. 100%, if I was not in shape, that would have been extremely, way more difficult than what it was. So shout out to Sierra. Hopefully I'll be back soon. I'm not sure what's going to happen after surgery and all the physical therapy that comes after that. So we have a lot to look forward to as far as getting answers and results, and then formulating a plan. And then my plan is to, you guys have spoken and I am listening. I've had several of you ask, please continue to share your story and your journey. And I'm going to do that. And the next thing up is getting Matt on the show. Matt and I also have talked about blood work and HRT, hormone replacement. There's a lot of things that we've talked about. And maybe I'll share that on a future episode. But in the meanwhile, I hope you all have a fantastic 4th of July weekend. Get out and celebrate our amazing country. Have a barbecue, eat some good food, and I'll be back with more updates next week. Thanks for listening. Be safe out there, and happy section hiking.